Welcome to Belief Busters Podcast, where we change the world one belief at a time. True transformation happens when we question if the beliefs we hold are of truth, or simply someone else's belief that we have internalized as our own. I'm your host, Rev. Cherie Taylor Jones, and I'm glad you could join us on the journey. Today, I have the pleasure of having SF Bank on our show today, and SF is the creator of Camp Warrior King, which helps thousands of youths in the metro Atlanta area gain exposure to amazingly fun activities. He is the founder of, wait for it, You Can Have It All, youth conferences, and a youth motivational development magazine. It is the only motivational magazine for kids of its kind in the world. SF is also the developer, creator of Team Hot Sauce, and they are cartoon characters that teach children how to believe in themselves using fundamental personal development principles. He is also the author of three books: Persevere, Overcome, Win, also Raising Extraordinary Kids, and Be Unstoppable Living Life. Welcome, SF.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you could be here, especially because of the topic today. We're talking about how do we get the idea that we are limited, that we are these finite, small beings, and then how do we shift that into the reality, the truth of who and what we are, that we have unlimited potential.
That's right.
So I'm super excited about that because I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I got somehow a dual message of you can do everything and anything, but you can't have it all, or you can't,
Right.
you've got to stay within this little box if you want to have it all. So
Right.
what was your experience growing up? What did you learn?
Well, I was fortunate to have parents that, pretty much encouraged me that I could do anything in life. And at a young age, I was able to see, that things were possible. It's once I started getting a little older and started to get, bumps and bruises and start to deal with failure that I began to question whether or not it was really possible. And for me, a lot of what I realized is that when I tried to do things in my own strength or in my own mind is where I started dealing with a lot of limitations. And, then it was some of the people I was surrounded with. You have people that have a limited projection of their own abilities. And when you're around people like that, then they will limit what they think you're able to do or project their limitations on you. And so I was dealing with that with some of the friends that I had, because I always had these wild ideas. I always had really, really big dreams. And, my friends and people I knew at the time were always like, you really think you can do that? You really think that's
Yeah.
possible? Or they would kind of, people are real condescending, they'll, yeah, of course that's possible, but then they won't ever assist in trying to make it happen, or, they'll do things that kind of, slow you up. And so those some of the things that I dealt with on top of, like I said, dealing with a lot of failures that, at one point in my life just made me question if I could really make, my dreams come true. And
Right.
so, and I think that at a lot of levels, those challenges never go away as you go from level to level, right? So,
Say more. Say more
yeah,
about that.
well, so you might question whether you can, for example, a kid might say, hey, look, I don't know how to tie my shoes. And, it takes courage to learn how to tie your shoes, just to learn how to do something that's simple at a young age. To us, it's simple, but to a child, it's a big deal. Well, at that level, they learn how to tie their shoes. And now they have confidence, and they have confidence they can do other things. But then let's say it's something like riding a bike. And now let's start riding that bike. And it's like, I don't know if I can ride that bike. Even though I can tie my shoe, I don't know if I can ride a bike because it's different. I might fall, I might hurt myself. They end up falling, they end up hurting themselves, they end up going through that pain, and makes them question, can I actually do it? And
Mhm.
the difference is that when you press through and make it happen, then it builds confidence to go to the next level. And so the same thing, I think, in a professional career, we can accomplish certain things, we accomplish things at certain levels, but the higher the level gets, there's always this, I know I can do it, but will it happen? Right? I
Mhm.
know I got what it takes to make it happen, but or to do the work, but is it gonna happen? And I think that that is the prerequisite for every level, because especially if people have faith, because if you are totally 100% confident you could do everything on your own, then you wouldn't have a need for God. And so I think that there's, especially when you have big dreams, that there is a certain point where it's like, man, this is really tough. I'm going to press through it. I know I'm able, but is it going to happen? And that, I think, is a difference, because a lot of times people have all the skills to make a business come together or an idea come together, but it doesn't necessarily happen for sometimes outside reasons, or things out of their control or whatever.
What do you think society tells us or programs us to believe that we have very limited potential?
We'll tell you if you have very limited potential. It could be based on what you see on TV. If it could be from a color perspective, where if you're of a particular race and you don't necessarily see your race on TV or social media a lot doing very exceptional things, then that in itself puts a stigma in your mind of, okay, I see this group doing it, but can I do it? And that's, racially, that's gender. You see a lot of men doing a lot of things, but you don't see women doing them as much. And it's not that they're not capable, but they're, sometimes society kind of stifles that. And it's like, okay, well, we don't want women to see how powerful they are. I think that it does in all kind of ways. Weight, you look on TV or social media and you see how society says a person should look, right?
Mhm.
And that look almost impossible for anybody to be able to obtain without, a rigid diet and rigid training. And so that says, hey, look, yeah, you might be able to do it, but 9 times out of 10, it's not possible for you to be able to make it happen. And that kind of plays with your mind. So I think those are some of the things that society does to kind of keep you down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of programming. I think programming of our limitations starts with our families, and I don't think that they start with the place of trying to hurt us. I think it's really from a place of trying to protect us.
Right.
That programming starts, and then you get into school, and in school there's programming about what's appropriate and not appropriate, stay in your lane, those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
um, and then all of the things that you talked about regarding media and what we see and what we hear, and how that all conditions us to a level of expectation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how did you now shift that, all of that programming, all of those things that try to push you into a limit? How did you personally shift that from that box to being the expansive person that you are?
I think it's a process. I think that I'm still expanding, and that it's still a level of growth. I've been able to deal with certain challenges or limitations, and then I'm still dealing with others, right? Because I believe that you're always kind of growing and going from one level to another. I don't believe that there's ever a place of totally just arriving.
Oh,
um
baby. That's
you
right.
know
Speak to that man.
um there's always this, success is progressive, so we're always growing and going from level to level. And so what I've been able to do that has helped me on that journey, for me, it's been my faith, my ability to lean on God when I didn't know what to do and how to do it, and just really holding on to that, because I did get limitations, from people in my community growing up as a kid, thoughts that things weren't possible or what you should do. I remember one time, I mean, even my dad telling me to get my head out the clouds because I had these big dreams about things I wanted to do, and it just seemed unrealistic. Now, a lot of times, he'll say, man, I'm really, really proud of you. Really, I don't know how you're able to keep going. And, I kind of laugh about it, 'cause I'm like, well, yeah, no thanks to you telling me to get my head out of the clouds. Guess I'm glad I did keep my head in the clouds. But, my faith, I mean, I read a lot, because we always have to grow. You can't get to another level unless you start putting more knowledge in to get better. It's constantly pressing to try to get better. I listen to motivational information on a regular basis. I pray, I work on my body. Even though you get them from the outside, the hardest ones to defend against are the ones in your own head, the things that you're saying to yourself about yourself or about what's possible for you.
I agree with you because what happens is we internalize those things that we hear externally,
Mhm.
we bring them in, and then before we know it, we're saying the same things that we've heard other people say to us over and over again. And it
Absolutely.
becomes really powerful and part of our belief system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love your idea of that it requires us to continually grow and to continually change.
Hmm.
One of the things that I find really interesting when we get on a spiritual path or a path of evolution or a path of transformation, we think that there is an end sight, like we just have to get to X point and
Right.
we've arrived.
Right.
And the reality is, we're going to continue doing this work until we're no longer in existence here.
Absolutely.
Any tips that you have for people to find their own voice and to release those programmed in limitations that we've taken on, that we've somehow figured, oh, yeah, that is my truth, when it really isn't? It's just somebody else's programming that we've said yes to. How do we help them to find their truth, their true belief?
There's several ways to do that. The the first is deciding what makes you happy, right? Like what everybody actually is searching for out here is happiness. It's being able to be completely and totally happy with yourself, where you are, with what you have going on. And it's being able to block out the outside noise that really tries to say, hey, this is what makes you happy. Having a lot of money makes you happy. Yeah, being this size makes you happy. Being having this, style of car or this house or, these cars or jewelry or all this stuff is what makes you
Right,
happy. It's blocking out the outside noise and starting with, okay, what makes me happy? What truly makes me happy? What do I truly get a kick out of life? Where do I get that kick out of life? And it's finding that and finding what am I passionate about? What do I love to do? And then starting to head in that direction. And what you'll find is that when you start heading towards the things that make you happy, you become empowered because you're no longer concerned about what outside people are saying you can do or what's possible for you. And so what do I mean by that? Okay, I'm happy with, or if I find passion in painting, and that's really what I find my joy in. And how do I get outside of the limitations or ideas of that from what other people think or what I say about that? What you find is that what you're passionate about, you're really good at.
hmm,
And when you're really good at it, you tend to excel better than people that kind of like it. And so action cures fear. Action cures the idea of limitations because the idea of limitations is just fear. It's just noise in your head saying you can't do that. That's not going to happen. It's all rooted in fear. But when you start taking an action in something that you really enjoy doing, then you start to see those limitations come off. And that's why I said, find what you're passionate about, find what you really love, find what truly makes you happy. Because in those areas is where you have unlimited potential. It's where your mind will begin to release answers for you on how to do certain things that you may not get in other areas. You might be doing something that your parents told you to do, right? You might have a career. Your parents say you need to be a doctor. And so you're being a doctor, not because you want to be, but because everybody else said that. And so you're limited to this career when actually you got potential somewhere else where you really love to do it, where you have total confidence you could do it at all, but you're afraid. So you don't do it. So
yes.
part of it is is getting centered in what it is you love to do, what it is you're passionate about. And I believe that that is where you start to unlock answers for getting out of those limitations.
Yeah, I love what you said. I think you said actions conquer fears or actions
Yes.
overcomes fears.
Yes, action cure fear.
I think that that's profound because when we are so wrapped up in our thinking of the could, should, would, what happens, all of that, we're just spinning in this energetic
Hmm.
spiral of going nowhere.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So I love that for us to really, whether it's faith, whether it's the belief in God, whether it's unlocking our true nature, it all comes down to taking the action in something that matters to us,
right.
that we're passionate about. And we're gonna like make mistakes when we take those actions. Let's go there
Yeah,
too. And
yeah.
that's part of it.
That's part of it. That's part of it. I mean, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make tons of mistakes. But the difference is that when you make mistakes in something that you're really passionate about, something you're hungry about, you really see it as a learning experience. It really, it really creates a hunger in you. It really, it becomes a learning moment. Like, ah, man, I should have done that differently. Man, I should have said this. I should have said that. And it becomes a game to you. All right, next time I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if this works next time. Next time I'm going to say this instead of saying that. And you go and you get it again, and then you say it and it works, or you say that and it doesn't work, and you got to figure out something else. But when you're passionate about it, the hits that you take are different. They energize you.
Yes.
They fire you up because like I say, when you know it, right? Your brain,
Right.
that, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna make this happen. This is supposed to happen for me. I deserve it. I refuse to be denied about it. No matter, if I fall down 7 times, we're gonna get up 8, because I truly believe in what it is that I'm doing. I truly believe in the fact that it'll help this person or do this thing or make a difference over here. And when you do that, the fears that come, the doubts and concerns, you kind of face them head on.
And what I also like what you said was the energy, that you have so much more energy when it's something that you're passionate about, that you believe in, to just keep overcoming.
Absolutely, I believe that 1,000%, because a lot of times you shy from telling somebody to quit a job if they don't like it, but when you are truly passionate about an idea or a concept or a dream, right, which is all pretty much the same thing, something coming true, you realize that time becomes finite, right? That you only really have so much time to really pull it together. And you don't want to spend your time doing anything else other than that thing. And that is why you'll see people talk about a starving artist, right? Or somebody, or you hear of an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs, or or any other great mind, your Denzel Washingtons, or your just any of these great minds that really focus on their craft. Why do they spend so much time? And it doesn't seem like they spend a lot of time, because to them, it's like, man, these minutes matter, and they're so engulfed in the moment that time almost stands still for them
Yes.
because they're passionate about it.
Yes. They are in the present moment.
Yeah,
Nothing else matters. There's no extraneous worries. They're
right.
completely all in.
When you're all in, somebody says, well, man, I couldn't work a 12-hour day. I couldn't stand to work a 16-hour day. Well, if you're not doing what you love, you couldn't stand to do it. But
Right.
if you're doing what you love and you're into it and you're fired up, man, that time goes by just like that. And you're like, God, dog, I don't have any more time. I gotta go to bed. And I don't want to. I don't have any more time.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, because you love it.
Yes. It sounds like your passion is working with youth.
Hmm.
Is that correct? So
That's
what do
correct.
you do? And if people want to work with you, how do they get in contact with you?
The best way to get in contact with me is on Instagram, or to shoot me an email. My Instagram is sfdreamsbig, and my email ychiamag@gmail. And I'm sure that'll be in the notes. And what's funny about that is I didn't want to work with kids initially. I couldn't stand kids.
No!
Yeah, I couldn't stand kids. I didn't want to work with kids at all. No way, no shape, no how. I didn't see the potential in it. I didn't see the money making opportunity in it. I didn't see anything in it that I wanted to be involved in. And it took a lot of growth for me. What I saw, what changed it for me, was that there was such a huge need, that there were just so many youth that were just kind of just being messed up. And it's like, well, what's going on? And I kind of stumbled into working with youth, and stumbled into really being passionate about what it is that I do.
Beautiful. That's a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Anything else that you want people to really take away from this conversation that we're having?
Yes, the biggest limits that there are the ones you put on yourself. There's an African proverb that says that there's no enemy on the inside, the enemies outside can do you no harm. And that is the truth. If a person can find a way to consistently believe in themselves no matter what, and defeat the enemy within them, keep that enemy at their feet, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. People can say you're crazy, you don't care. As long as you believe that what you're doing is the right thing, nothing else can stop you. The biggest limitations that we have are the ones we put on ourselves. We lock ourselves up. We lock ourselves up. I mean, and sometimes we have people that beat us up so much mentally to where we don't think that we can do it. But once you get free from that person and you can start believing in yourself, once you have that sense of self-belief and you refuse to allow anybody else to break through that barrier of your belief, man, you're unstoppable.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So, for the belief busting posse, I just want you to know that we're giving you permission to unlock that prison that you've put yourself in. You no longer have to believe what other people believe about you. Now, this time that you've said to be here on this planet is yours to really unlock your true passion. Your potential is unlimited if you choose to see that. If you are enjoying these conversations about assessing your belief systems and how to transform outdated beliefs, then please subscribe and give us a positive review. To support this podcast and its transformative work, you can also become a sponsor for as little as $5 a month. You can reach Rev Cherie at info@beliefbusterspodcast.org. To continue on this journey of evolution, you can also get my book, Turning Your Why into Why Not, at Amazon or any other bookstores, which gives you practical tools to do this work. See you next time on the flip side.